your book titled "You Are Enough," you talk about the process of revealing the soul. So I have a couple questions there. First off, what do you define as the soul? What is that definition? And secondly, what are some glimpses into that process for revealing the soul? And what do you mean by that, revealing the soul?
So the soul for me is that part of us that never changes. It's the one constant in our experience. And we articulate the soul in different ways depending on our background, right? So some people call it the authentic self. Some people will call it the essential self. And if you're spiritual, you will call it the soul. But what that is pure awareness, pure being, and pure potential. And revealing the soul is an incredible journey, because everything that I'm talking about, as much as I was born into this environment, we're all born into the perfect environment that we would be born into to do exactly that, to reveal the soul. And that's really the purpose of every experience that we're having, is to return to union through integration, through the acceptance and integration of all that we are, which is the essence of yoga, yogic philosophy, or any path that leads to liberation. And so in my journey, it's been about coming into a place of accepting my humanity, my thoughts, my fears, my anger, my sadness, my physicality, all that I am at the level of my humanity. Because the more I embrace who I am at the level of my humanity, the more that essence emerges through that humanity and begins to then emanate out through the physical form into the world. And when people come to events, or people come to sessions, or they participate in online events with me, that's what they report connecting with, is this field of presence. So how do we do that? Well, first we have to understand how transformation happens. So the transformation doesn't happen at the level of the mind. We have this preoccupation in the West with the mind, and it's all about changing your thoughts and shifting your beliefs and doing all of these things. And I understand the essential nature of the subconscious mind as a part of the transformative journey. However, what we need to do is work with more of an integrative model, because the more we work with an integrative model, the more we're opening up a sustainable path of transformation. You see, so if we're solely focusing on the mind, and we're using the mind, the mental apparatus that by its design quantifies and reduces things into boxes of understanding, which are boxes of limitation, then we're never going to actualize the full potential of who we are. What we're missing on, or what we're missing out on, is that transformation happens at the level of feeling. It happens at the level of emotion. So what I've discovered through this journey of having who Panache was just crumble and fall away, to where when I talk about myself, I don't even know who I'm talking about anymore, because it feels like I'm talking about a stranger that I once used to know. But that happens through the following process. We have to recognize, first of all, that we have this soul, we have this essential energy, this subtle energy that's at the core of who we are. The layer around that is the emotional layer. The layer around that is the mind. Then there's the body. And then this force field around the body is the ego. Okay? So when we speak in terms of transformation, especially vibrational transformation, shifting at an energetic level, it has to happen at the level of feeling. And one of the most powerful ways to do that is to become aware of what's happening inside of us, because the body's the storehouse of the unconscious. Everything that we have to deal with is inside of us. It's just that our attention isn't there, right? So there's a couple of ways to do it. We can either place our awareness and our attention on what's happening inside of us and begin to welcome the experiences, welcome the discomfort, because the discomfort that we're feeling is just the discomfort of egoic existence. Or we can accelerate that journey by working with somebody who can be a catalyst for us, who through their presence alone has the capacity to take all of that subconscious material, all of that material in the body, and just transform it just by being with them. And in India and in China, in the Eastern world, that's how transformation happens. The transformation doesn't happen through PDF presentations and facts and figures and the quantification of how meditation impacts you, or what the neurobiological state of somebody is after they've meditated. Transformation happens through sitting in the presence of someone who has actualized that potential themselves. And in being in the presence of that individual, all of these layers that we've judged, that we've criticized, that we've been programmed and conditioned on top of that essential self begin to be lifted off. And for me, the weird thing, Nathan, was that when I was a kid, this was happening around me. I just didn't understand it. You know, I just thought I was strange. Like people would come and sit next to me and talk to me, and they'd tell me their problems and their issues. All of a sudden, they'd start experiencing all of the emotion that they'd accumulated inside of them, and it would begin to bubble up and move through them. And what was happening by the end of that interaction was that they were restored to oneness. They were restored to connection. They were restored to that place of alignment with their authentic self. And different traditions have a different name for this. In India, we call it Shaktipat, which is basically just being in the presence of somebody, and transformation happens in the presence of that soul. Not that they're doing it. They're just a doorway and a vehicle through which it's happening. And that's been my whole life. And subsequently, when I was pretending to be somebody other than that, or trying to belong and trying to fit in, trying to be normal, I felt like I needed to shut that down, or I tried to run away from it. However, it was still happening. People were drawn to me. They were having these experiences, and I couldn't explain any of it. You know, I had no understanding of any of it. I just thought it was weird, you know. And after I had this profound awakening, this remembrance at the level of awakening on a conscious level, at that point, I could no longer deny it. And after that experience, I went into bliss for about 3 to 6 months, and was just in this state of absolute absorption of the self. And everything was this luminous, brilliant presence. It's like the most amazing experience you could ever have in your life. And the feeling associated with this was beyond the word love. It's beyond any human definition of the word love. And in that moment, what was revealed to me is that this is what the divine or God is. It's this infinite presence of energy. And through the liberation of the soul, through facilitating the emergence of the authentic or the essential self, we are once again reunified with this presence. And that, by the way, this is our natural state of being. This is how we're meant to live, not as the conditioned version, the programmed version, operating inside of societal norms or conformity, trying to be normal and suffering and dying on the inside every day because we're living a lie. We're here to live as our fully expressed, energetic, vibratory, essential divine potential. And how we do that is through vibrational transformation.